Okay, so we're live now. Sweet. So let's bounce back over to Presswise. That's not how you do it. All right, so we came in, we just went to customers, we're under whatever, one off. Came in and gave this a name. That's always important. And one thing that always is kind of weird about this and trips people up is typically in Presswise, we can just go in and like choose things and set it to printed, set it to finished, and we don't have to do anything, right? Just by the act of changing it. There's a few places in this process we actually have to save. So I put in my name and then I have to hit save project name. It took me a good 6 months to figure that out. I kept saying like, didn't I put that in? So do that. We came in, we hit new, we just made our quote here, and now you can see this is glowing green, right? This is our saying, hey, we need to save this quote. Right, so the quote part you should be feeling pretty warm about right now. We've done that a little bit, but now we have some options that we could quote PDF, right? That just downloaded it and it sends it together in this cute little format that we could then email to somebody. That if they're happy with it, they'll let us know. Slash, they'll also start the purchase order internally so we can get paid for this eventually. So that's good. Presswise also has this internal emailing function that I could send everything through here. I just don't use that very often. I don't really know why, to tell you the truth. Cool. So we have that. We get a call back. They say we're good to go. We now need to take this. Remember, a long time ago, I don't know if I've mentioned it recently, we've talked about this as far as like buckets, right? That right now, this is just living in the first bucket, that we have a quote, but a quote doesn't really do anything yet. Once someone gives us that green light, we're ready to pick it out of that one and put it in the next bucket, convert to order, right? So we want to come in here. They say, hey, we're happy with it. I'd find that quote, convert to order. It's going to come up and say, what quantities do you want? We'll just grab that, create new order, and it brings me to the sales order control. Right, so now this is like a job that we have right before it goes into production, right? So this is still all like CSR world, customer service rep world, where we're starting to collect the files and all the pieces that we need to do. So there's three things specifically we need to do. One is come down here and it's saying we have no files. So I'm gonna hit our little paper clip here and I have a handful of options. For the front and the back, right? I honestly forget. Okay, so this is 4/4, so it's asking for both. So it's saying that we don't have any files available. I could just say that the artwork is on press, or I'm linking multiple pages. Basically, tell Presswise just to like shut up and leave me alone. Like, don't worry about the files. I have them. So if I'm doing uh, something on the inkjet wide format, I always just hit that. I always just say like it's just ignore it, Presswise, leave me alone. I just want the invoice from you. But typically, we actually want the files in here. We need the files in here so it does the imposition as well, right? It's not going to give us that imposition if we don't tell it what to impose. So we can go to upload files. We can do it for the front or the back. You can get them from a remote location. You can get them from your desktop. I'm going to do that. Choose file here. Let's see, I have this little goofy PDF we'll throw in and see what happens. So I just telling it to upload stamp PDF. I'm going to hit save changes. And when we come down here, you can see it gives you a little thumbnail of what that is. But you can also see it's yelling at me a little bit too. It's trying to help me out, make sure I'm not screwing things up. What's it yelling at me about?
Duplex side.
All right, it's saying like, hey, you told me that this was 4/4, but you only gave me one file. Here, just for fun and games, let's go back in here. The back, we're just going to tell the back, right, B, to pick up that stamp.pdf as well. Or we could upload a new file. Typically, though, I would upload a 2-page PDF, right? And it would know that the page 1 is the front and that page 2 is the back, and it would figure all that out for me. So let's just hit save changes. See if that goes away. Lovely. Okay, cool. So the next thing I would do, and imagine this workflow that I've sent somebody, and they've sent me an RFP. I've sent them back an estimate, a quote. They've said okay. They send me back the file. I get that file, I pre-flight it, make any changes, get everything ready, and then I upload that PDF into here. Before I actually print anything, I want my customer to look at that file and say, yes, that's good, right? It double checks them, and it also double checks me on my end of my processes. I haven't dropped a line of type or anything goofy happened. So Presswise is actually going to have a link right here, this web ID that I could email out, and they could view the file and they could put their initials in and hit approved. Typically, our workflow internally is changing this status from waiting to accepted. Our next step, just so we're all on the same page, is putting this into production. So someone over on the Versifier can run this. I can't do that next step if I don't have the files, or if I haven't told it what the status is. If I haven't set that status specifically to accepted, it won't let me put a job into production that has not been accepted yet. And that makes a lot of sense. The last thing the last thing it will require is a due date, right? So we're just gonna say tomorrow, done. Those are the 3 things we need, right? So we take our quote, we convert it to an order. Once we're setting our sales settings here, we need the file, we need to accept the file, change the status, and then we need a due date. Those are the trifecta there to actually get it to move forward. One last thing that we would potentially need, or we'll need eventually, I should say, is our customer PO. So let's throw that in there, right? Don't need it to move forward, but if you have it, that's the time to put it. So we have all of these options up here, about halfway through production, okay? So we hit that little production button. Are you sure? I am. And it's gonna say injected, right? If I've missed any of those 3 things, it's just gonna yell at me specifically for one of those 3 things. You're missing artwork, you don't have a due date, artwork not approved. Right? But once we've done that, let's go over to production now, and we look at open jobs. We have 33 pending jobs. That's a real number right now. We've got a lot of program 1 sheets that we need to produce. Probably gonna be at the bottom, isn't it? Yeah. So there's our job. Right? So now this should all start looking pretty familiar. Right? We just kind of we just went upstream a little bit and looked at what was happening. I just want to A, briefly review, and B, just get this out of production so it gets out of our way, out of our faces. We would go through, send all this stuff through. What's our very last one that we need to get through? Lovely. Once we go boxed, what queue are we going to see it in now? Shipping. So we go over to shipping. Look, ready for delivery, 1 shipment. I'm assuming this is it. Yeah, it is. There it is. Right? So let me go back here. Right under our shipping control, we saw that. We would sign for delivery. Don't take my squiggly mark. That's me. Go back to shipping. And what's the last step there? Reconcile. Beautiful. So we come in here, reconcile it, and it's out of here then. You guys completely forget about it now. It's now my problem in what queue? Accounting, right? In the invoicing queue, the accounting queue. That's my problem. So, A, let me turn off QuickTime. And it usually, I'm going to unplug this for a second.